Angel has become pure evil, and only his former teammates are even aware of it. How can they stop the Dark Angel? Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read it dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. This is the story of the Uncanny X-Force, a team led by Wolverine that contains Deadpool, Psylocke, Deadlock, Fantomex, and Angel. They went into space where they found a child version of Apocalypse, being raised to become the monster that he would become. While the team debated what to do with him, Fantomex took it upon himself to shoot the child in the head. The whole team was shaken up by this, but they returned victorious. Then Fantomex teamed up with Deathlock to stop the world and Father, bringing Deathlock into the team and revealing to us that Fantomex had been raising his own Apocalypse clone, attempting to raise him properly. Shortly after they stopped Father, they fought a villain that awoke the Dark Angel inside of Warren Worthington. The Dark Angel is the remnants of Archangel, the horseman of Apocalypse. But now, without an Apocalypse to serve, Dark Angel decided to bring on the age of Archangel to his friends. In an attempt to save their friend, X-Force broke out an evil beast from the future of the age of Apocalypse, and then they went to his dystopian future, the age of Apocalypse, where they tried to retrieve the life seed, the only thing that could purge Warren Worthington's body. The goal was to bring it back to Warren and purge Archangel out of his system. But by the time they saved the future and returned, Archangel himself was waiting for them. Wolverine, Fantomex, Deadpool, and Psylocke now all stand ready to do what they have to, with Deathlock bound by Angel's followers already. Fantomex uses his powers of misdirection right away, only to fall to the ground, with Dark Beast telling him, we've got a plan in place to prevent that. So Wolverine gets his claws ready. Worthington, you son of a bitch! I haven't used any incendiary language. Why escalate things? Wolverine dives in, slashing up Warren's armor, but then a child named Genocide that looks like pure radiation blasts away half of Wolverine's body, bringing it down to the bones. Psylocke runs to his side in an attempt to block the nerve endings in Wolverine's body so that he can't feel the pain, and then she turns to Warren. How could you do this? And Warren calls for Famine, one of his horsemen. Deadpool sees him. Oh, come on, not the Jenny Craig drum machine. Then he hits the ground, instantly starving. Oh, that feels awful! Like diarrhea made of sadness and anger! Angel then walks over to Fantomex. The life seed, please, Fantomex. In response, Fantomex stabs him in the foot. Ugh, Warren yells out, I never liked you. Psylocke goes right to work cutting up the Horseman of War. Then she leaps over cutting up the arm of Dark Beast, and as Warren goes in to kill Fantomex, she stabs him in the chest from behind. Angel turns around to see her struggling with his followers, and he tells them not to harm her. She is important. Meanwhile, Deadpool has dragged himself over to Deathlock, where he learns that they took control of the world, a place where all kinds of experiments have been conducted, and Fantomex has been guarding it. Then, with a smoke grenade, everyone runs out of the room as quick as they can. They eventually make it back to Fantomex's ship, where they take off, deciding that they can't fight with only half of Wolverine, a famished Deadpool, and an injured Fantomex. But as they leave, Psylocke jumps off the ship, landing in front of Warren, telling him, I'm not giving up on you, Warren. She tries to tell him that she will save him. Warren has to be in there. But he informs her, this is my evolution. This is what I was always supposed to become. She wants to know, is he supposed to become Apocalypse? Because they just escaped a world run by Apocalypse, and it was a nightmare. But Warren explains that he is here because the world has been distorted. When the Scarlet Witch said no more mutants, she reduced their numbers to less than 200. The natural evolution of mankind has been altered, and he plans to correct that. He flies high into the sky and he brings Genocide with him, and they land in the middle of a town where he launches into the sky again and he watches. Genocide hits the ground hard, and in a massive explosion, the town and the lands around it are destroyed and altered, wiped clean from the face of the earth in a mushroom cloud. Angel then brings Dark Beast to the spot where he places the life seed, and they watch as it expands, and it begins to alter the very face of Earth, creating a new evolution, a new path. Time begins to move at an accelerated rate around them while they are protected in their laboratory. And while they are safely removed from their time sphere, they watch the effects of the life seed, and they watch as 120 million years of evolution happen in the span of a single day in front of them. Meanwhile, X-Force isn't quite done yet. Deadpool is eating some cheesy chum-chums to replenish himself while Wolverine is trying to heal. But Fantomex has found the world. Since it was his laboratory, he has his ways to track it, and he sees that this weird forest is now in front of them. They land and they begin looking for Angel and his followers when suddenly Deadpool hits the ground again. Damn it, Famine's dope beats got me again. So Deathlock cuts the magic carpet that they are both riding on in half, throwing Famine and Death down to the ground. Angel then lands over by Fantomex, prepared to continue their fight, while Deathlock continues to tear apart Death. Angel pins Fanto to the ground. Fanto fires a shot into the sky and Angel thinks that he's won until Fanto's sentient bullet comes back, hitting Angel in the head. Genocide then lands next to him, telling Angel to leave while he handles this rat. And as Angel leaves, Fanto taunts him. "Aw, come on, at least acknowledge that you're leaving because this rat beat you." As Genocide begins to blast at Fantomex, he begins to retreat and then he finds Deadpool sitting around eating what appears to be a weird fruit. Figured you dropped the ball. Oh, and what did you accomplish today, Wade? We killed Death and caught Famine? We? Well, Deathlock did. Good. Let's get his master's location. Funny, that's what I said, and it looks like Deathlock's psychopathic host is back in control because he kind of smiled. Meanwhile, back over outside of San Francisco, Angel reports back to Beast that Death is dead. Beast informs him that he'll need to pick a new horseman of death, and then they both fly up to the dead body of a Celestial, as it appears that a Celestial's decision was to force evolution, and Angel serves evolution. Back with X-Force, Deathlock comes out after torturing Famine for the information, and he discovers that Angel has retreated to Ankaba, a city underneath the North Pole. Fantomex tells everyone that they need to stop Angel before he does this crazy single-day evolution thing to the entire planet. As they speak, he's trying to scorch the skies. The age of Archangel is coming. Luckily, Deathlock, Fantomex, and Deadpool have all arrived in the North Pole to stop the age of Archangel from happening. Meanwhile, back in Fantomex's ship, Famine has begun to tap his finger on the chair, starting a beat that leads to an explosion. With Fantomex's ship beginning to burn due to its bioelectrical nature, Famine stands up and looks down at the recovering Wolverine. "You can burn in hell, boy, like my children did." And he begins to walk off into the snow. Meanwhile, in his base, Warren walks down into Psylocke's cell to inform her of her new role as the new Horseman of Death. Fantomex can see what they're doing at this lab. They're preparing it. So he turns to Deathlock and he tells him, "You gotta go destroy that." Luckily, Deathlock downloaded a map after Fantomex refused to let him destroy the world the last time they had to do a battle with someone trying to take control of the world. "You know, no one likes 'I told you so,' Deathlock," Fanto tells him. And then he and Wade head off to kill Warren. The only problem is that as soon as they get to the roof, the blob crushes Fantomex by sitting on him. Deadpool begins dodging and shooting, and the bullets begin to bounce off of Blob's massive size and skin. And once Deadpool runs out of bullets, the oversized Blob grabs him and gets ready to literally eat Deadpool. He takes out his sword and he stabs the Blob's tongue. Deadpool then hits the ground. "Fantomex, if you can hear me in there, I'm coming for you, buddy!" Except Famine has been watching from overhead, and as he prepares to drop Deadpool again, Wolverine puts his claws to Famine's head. Famine's drums begin to tap, and then the Blob becomes famished, turning into piles of skin. Deadpool watches as this is happening in front of him, and can't help but crack a joke. A bra is a big decision in any man's life, but wow, I just don't see any other options for you. Famine feels the claws against his skull. "You promised that if I did this, you wouldn't kill me. I did, and I won't," Wolverine says as he cuts off Famine's arms. Meanwhile, Warren brings Psylocke into his inner chambers to show her the Death Seed, the very thing that changes a person into a horseman, and the thing that corrupted Warren to begin with. Fantomex crawls out from underneath all of Blob's skin, gasping for air and complaining about the smell, and then he jumps into the nearby water shouting, "Unclean!" As Wade tries to tell Wolverine that he's happy that the leader is back, Wolverine tells him to shut it, he's going for Warren, and he begins to run towards the inner chambers. Fantomex comes up for air only to meet another person to have joined this fight from the Age of Apocalypse, the evil Bobby Drake. This evil Iceman betrayed everyone in the Age of Apocalypse, and now he needs to ensure that his new boss is happy. He takes all of the water from the bay, growing to the size of a building. Wolverine tells Psylocke through their psychic link that he's back and she needs to kill Warren if she has a chance. Seeing a chance, she kicks a gun up into her hands and she opens fire only to have him smirk and tell her, "This is the warrior that I've been waiting for." Deadpool jumps off, slicing off chunks of Bobby, but Bobby responds by creating 3 giant versions of himself, and he blasts Deadpool with his gold beams. As all of the giants form around him and unable to move, Wade thinks back to one thing. "Mr. Krusty Bottoms, my love, my cat, I didn't leave any food out for him, and the darkness will come for him next." Then, Bobby shatters the frozen Deadpool into pieces. Back with Warren, he walks Psylocke into a room with an altar. Her being unconscious after he dodged the bullet, he sets her down, informing her that they will rule this new world together. But back at the bay, Fantomex is trying his best to outrun the onslaught of ice that Bobby is throwing at him as he makes his way to the edge, and he leaps off the cliffside. Luckily, his ship is recovered and is waiting for him down there. So as he's landing on it, the ship asks him, should I open fire? And Fanto tells her that we're leaving, save the energy. Meanwhile, Deathlock has made it to the inner lamps of the world, only to find Dark Beast and the Horsemen of War waiting for him. War strikes him from behind and begins to infect him with pain, fear, loss, murder, rot! He infects him with a desire for war. Wolverine looks over to see Fantomex leaving the whole area as he flees, and he realizes that he was just a bandit. Then Bobby sees him climbing up the side of the tower. So Wolverine jumps off towards the evil Bobby. Back with Angel, he tears open the back of Psylocke's dress and he begins to stab her with the Death Seed. She will know his struggle. Everyone is failing. Deadpool is in pieces. Wolverine is fighting an ice giant. Fantomex is fleeing and Deathlock is being controlled. This may be a loss for our heroes, and the entire world to be gone. Psylocke then gets up as the Horseman of Death and she walks over kissing Warren. And Wolverine is having all of the air around him freeze, and this is causing him to not drop Bobby. Luckily, Fantomex didn't run. He called a few friends that they've made, and he made a time portal to the Age of Apocalypse and brought in the X-Men from that time period. The people that Bobby betrayed. Sunfire, Nightcrawler, Sabretooth, and Jean Grey of the future all arrive and begin taking Bobby apart. With the knowledge that genocide is scorching the atmosphere, Nightcrawler teleports right into the central room, grabbing his hands onto Genocide's helmet. He then teleports himself and Genocide into the room with Angel and Psylocke, and everything begins to burn around them as they take cover. He then teleports over to Psylocke, grabs her, and teleports her back to Wolverine and the rest of them. And they realize she may be lost. Meanwhile, Angel flies into Genocide, trying to get him to contain his flames, and then he tells everyone to see to the boy while he plants the life seed. Evolution cannot be stopped. As Nightcrawler bamfs everyone right into Angel's path, Wolverine starts the fight by slashing at Angel. Seeing his plans of evolution potentially crumbling around him, Angel blasts outside and has Bobby hold Sunfire still while he moves towards the central point in the world where they are scorching the sky. If he could just plant the life seed, this'll all be over. Luckily, the heroes still have Nightcrawler, and he bamfs Wolverine and Sabretooth right into the air above Angel, and they tackle him, and they all begin to tumble back down to the earth. Meanwhile, Fantomex is trying to talk some sense into Psylocke, so she pulls out a knife, slicing his throat. Quickly, she realizes what she has done and how horrible it was, and with that momentary lapse in her mental fortitude, Jean breaks in, removing the threat of death, trapping it deep inside Psylocke's mind. The real Psylocke begins to wake up in Fanto's arms, and she realizes that he misdirected her. It's what he does! That's when he tells her what she needs to do, and it's not going to be easy. Back on the ground, Sabretooth and Wolverine are hacking and slashing into Angel, but he is able to deflect them both, so Nightcrawler bamfs onto his back, only to be stabbed by Angel's wings. That's the moment that Jean Grey arrives with the power of the Phoenix and begins to burn Angel. Except, Angel's power is greater than that of the Phoenix, and he throws her aside. Wolverine tackles Angel, pinning him to the snow, and that's the moment that Warren speaks out, "Wolverine, kill me while I have control!" This causes Wolverine to pause, so Angel blasts him. Surprised you fell for that. Then as Sabretooth leaps in, Angel guts him, leaving him for dead, and with all four of his assailants down, he flies back up to the world prepared to take his victory, only to see Psylocke and Fantomex in his path. They both begin swinging at him, but Angel cracks Fanto in the back of the head, telling him, "You were always angry she picked me over you, weren't you?" He then kicks Psylocke in the gut before getting punched across the jaw by Fanto. Angel finally has had enough as he launches into the sky, launching knives at the two of them, and then with the both of them on the ground, he runs over to bury a knife into Fanto's forehead. Realizing he is at a loss, Fanto radios into the world for his own experiment, and he tells Automaton to release him. Back on the bridge leading to the end of the world, Psylocke bombards Angel, mentally forcing him to the ground, but then he just throws her aside, and he keeps moving. Somewhere else in virtual reality memories, a young kid Apocalypse going by the name of Evan is leading a happy and normal life. That's when his uncle Cluster, which looks conveniently like Fantomex, walks in and tells him that he has to go. What he's been learning and preparing for is here, and he wakes up from his perfect world into the real world with a suit in front of him. Automaton informs him, "Evan, it is time for you to save us all." Back with Angel, he doesn't understand why the world hasn't scorched the earth yet. It should have burned the skies and burned the ground. He then looks up to see Sunfire is absorbing all of the energy. Evan then rockets in out of nowhere, hitting Angel so hard that he bends his back, informing him, "You will not succeed, villain!" The two of them land in the main halls of the world, and they begin their fight, except Evan has all of the power. He is the Genesis! And he blasts Angel back. Automaton walks over to Fantomex, and Fanto tells him that they have to save Sunfire. He can't contain all of that energy. Angel and Evan go back and forth until finally Angel gets the better of Evan, throwing him down, telling him, "It's not your fault. You were born for this." And then with him finally having won, Psylocke stabs him with the life seed. He hits the ground, and he looks up at Psylocke. "Betsy, where am I?" But then the change begins as beams of light begin to pour out of him. Meanwhile, Sunfire is finally absorbed by the power that he's been trying to stop. Fanto tells Ultimaton that he needs to save Sunfire. He can't die for a world that isn't his own. But it's too late, and he burns up, having prevented the Age of Apocalypse, or the Age of Archangel, from ever happening. Warren hits the ground, and Psylocke hits her knees at his side. Warren, it hurts so bad. Dying, Bets. I'm really... No, you're fine. It's gonna be okay, Angel. Just close your eyes. So he does. And instead of feeling the pain and feeling his own death and mortality, Betsy gives him what they both want. A life together. She gives the two of them the mental image of an entire lifetime, where they got married, they had kids, they teach their kids, and they grow old together. And as Warren is dying of old age, he holds Betsy's hand and tells her that he loves her. And she tells him that he deserves all of the happiness in the world. She then kissed him on the forehead, telling him he was her hero. Back in the real world, Fanto tries to snap Psylocke out of the trance that she placed herself into. He tells her that they have to go as the world is crumbling around them. And with tears in her eyes, she tells him to leave her here. Leave her! But he won't. He takes her to the ship where Ultimaton and Evan are, and they blast off, and they land in the snow far, far away, where they find Deathlock and Wolverine. And, to make things even better, Deathlock collected up all of the pieces of Wade, because he loves him. Deathlock explains that he loves all of them. He had to learn to love to defeat war. And as Psylocke looks into the snow, she sees Warren walking through it. She runs over, kissing him and calling his name. And with the world burning behind them, he asks her, "Who are you?" The Life Seed remade him as an entirely new person. A true angel. He is no longer Warren Worthington. That brings us to the conclusion of the Dark Angel saga. But there are still more stories that this X-Force group is going to have to go through without their friend Angel. I hope you guys are enjoying this, and we're going to try to get this back on track with a weekly release. And if you do enjoy it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, give this video a like, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Comicstorian. I'll see you guys next time right here.